Hello, everyone who decided to join our Thinking Outside the Box conference. You did a great choice. Hope you had a chance to participate in our morning session with Nati Nazar. And now we continue with the next topic that will show you the different perspective on how you can develop your career path. During this session, we will discuss how you can navigate the complexity of growing IT services market and create a competitive advantage for yourself through defining the correct focus. We will discuss how building or leveraging your existing subject matter expertise could be one way to get a competitive edge. What needs to be done to achieve it, and how it can be highly beneficial both for your career and for your customer success. Our next speaker is leading retail and supply chain practice within the Product Management and Business Analysis Center of Excellence at SoftServe. In this role, he and his team provide digital advisory services to SoftServe clients across the end-to-end value chain, from manufacturing and supply chain to retail and e-commerce operations. Please welcome Oleksandr Yavlinsky.
Hello, hi everyone. That's a great pleasure to be here, and also a great honor. I see already like 95, almost 100 people are joining today. So that's absolutely amazing. Really nice to have you all here. And thanks, Mariana, for this great introduction. So let's talk today. What are we going to be talking about today, right? Let me start sharing. I have a few slides in here, and what are actually we are going to be talking today about. So we are all from different walks of life, and we have different backgrounds and different specialities and all that. But what unites us is that we are working in the IT industry. We are all having a lot of products and a lot of customers, and pretty often all these customers and products we are developing for them or solutions, they are having their specific industry focus, right? Because this is what our customers do very often, right? We have digital natives, but we also have enterprises. So for us, what it actually means, the domain of the customer, the industry of the customer, how it actually plays into our world. How do we need to work with that? How do we need to go about that? Does it really make sense for us to go deep and become the experts in the specific field, or it's fine just to know the actual work and the actual task of the software development and products and solutions and just solutioning, right? Is it enough? How do we specialize? So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Let me just start sharing, because I'm not sure which screen I'm actually sharing. Just give me a second. It's this one. I guess you could see the screen. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes, and this is what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to be talking also about how do you unlock your superpowers, right? In a way, so unlocking your superpowers, driving the value through industry expertise. And look, I am pretty much biased, right? So let's talk very briefly about myself. I'm super biased in a way. I've been working for SoftServe now 1.5 years, more or less. Now, before that, I was working for huge kind of world leading FMCG enterprises. So one was Procter & Gamble, which probably pretty much, which is producing all of the FMCG products like Blended toothpaste or brown shaver or diapers or whatever. And the other one was Coty. Coty maybe is a bit less known, but it is number 3 after L'Oreal and Estée Lauder in cosmetics. So the brands like Max Factor Cosmetics, CoverGirl, Hugo Boss, Chanel perfumes, all that kind of stuff. This is what we've been working with. So these are like huge enterprises, right? And they kind of obviously making me biased. And throughout my career, I was working with different solutions, systems, tools, and let's say digital enablements to actually make our stuff happen. So to me, it's like, it's first of all what the business needs to do and what are the objectives of the business, and then all of the other additional supporting things come in play, right? If I would be working in the digital native kind of company, which is doing business based on the digital products that it's creating, probably I would have a bit of a different perspective. But I'm here, you are here. That's what we're going to be working and talking about today. So let's see where we're going to end up. Just maybe a little bit additionally about myself, so you get to know me a little bit better. So I'm originally from Lviv, Ukraine. I've studied in Lviv Polytechnic National University. Then I moved to Warsaw, and I've been studying there in the Warsaw Polytechnic University. I've started with Procter & Gamble in Warsaw and traveled the world. Been doing projects in New York, in Costa Rica, in Singapore, in Thailand, and a lot of places in Europe. We've spent 3 years working for another employer of mine, Coty, in London. Have a little bit of international experience working with diverse teams. Now, throughout my assignments, I also worked in a different kind of areas. I worked in the operational business. So I've been managing, for example, the latest assignment of mine, I've been managing the manufacturing portfolio of 200 million plus units a year in volume. This is funny, this was for cosmetics industry for nail lacquers, right? So I know everything about nail lacquer polish, all the colors, all the substances, like what sticks better, like all that. What is the base coat? What is the top coat? All that stuff. But we've been managing this. We've been managing all the material supply, the production planning, the distribution, new products, all that. So this is purely operational, business operational role. And obviously systems like ERP systems, visualization, business intelligence, even robotic process automation, a lot of background technical solutions for data and for processes. This is everything what you work with every day and rely heavily in the enterprise. Now, another example is I was leading a team when this was a merger and acquisition between the Procter & Gamble and Coty and part of the business, and I was leading one of the streams for the supply chain. So we were migrating all the processes and all the tools and all the workflows from basically Procter & Gamble to Coty. So that's several lines of businesses like fragrances, cosmetics, something else. And we global operations, multiple sites, multiple planning entities, multiple go-to-market sell organizations. And we needed to transition all that in the 18 months framework to exit all the systems, all the processes, everything from the P&G perspective, all the data, and move it to the new Coty environment. I was leading a team for supply chain to understand and to map, right? What do we have today? What are the systems that our future kind of company has? What are the gaps? How do we close them? So, and working a lot also with the consulting companies and the companies that were supporting us, services companies, the vendors, right? We've been working with Ernst & Young and again Accenture for this project. So it is huge, right? And now I'm in the in the outsourcing industry here at SoftServe in the IT industry. So I'm looking at this from the other angle. So this is kind of, if not 360, but at least I hope 270 degrees of the perspective that I'm having here. Before we move on, I think the one story which I wanted to tell you from that time and why I believe also today's conversation is important is actually the following story. So we've been doing this transition. I was in Costa Rica. We've been working with the planning team here, and we've been this was a cutover date, right? So we were coming there. And the overnight, we needed to switch from all the old systems to all the new systems. And this is continuous production, right? So you can't really screw it up because then you have huge, huge problems. And I've been talking to one of the consultants of ours, the person from Accenture. So let's call him Pablo. And Pablo, so he was actually from Spain, by the way. And I was asking Pablo, look, this is the distribution system that we are setting up. I have this challenge, right? I need to do this and this, and my distribution network needs to manage my goods like this. And depending on the specific rules, my stuff needs to flow one way and doesn't need to flow with the other way, and blah, blah, blah. So I had this business challenge, which I was trying to figure out. How do I configure and I implement the solution with this specific tool set that we've got. And the person who was a consultant on the Accenture side, who was an expert in this, he was saying look, I don't really follow, or I don't really can't tell you how you need to do this in your business, in what you're doing. I can just tell you what the system does, and then you can figure it out yourself. I can just tell you what are the options, so you can figure it out yourself. And to me, that was a bummer, right? Because I want to team up with this person who understands the system problem that who's working in that specific case, who's working in the supply chain direction with us on this such a huge business project. We can't screw it up. And I'm looking to partner, right? And I'm not getting this. I'm like, hey, you need to do it yourself. I can just tell you the list of options. So that's not great, right? From the perspective of the enterprise customer who's looking for like a proper support, the proper the proper support in a way, the teamship, that doesn't really work, I think. And I think this is kind of the essence of what I would like to talk to you about today, and how we can make sure that we actually help our customers, and we support our customers' decisions, and we make their life easier, and not letting them, go the walk alone in the way. So that's about me. Took a bit of time. I apologize for that. I'm not going to bother you with myself too much going forward. But before we go on, just maybe a quick poll for all of us to see where we are and to get to know you a little bit better. So it's popping up on the screen right now. So the question is which business industry you have most experience with? And you need to scroll. There are options below as well. There are options other, and I'm agnostic to business industry, just in case you've missed that. It's not straightforward. You need to scroll. At least it's all there, right? So we are starting to get the leaders. So I see a lot of people from healthcare and life sciences joined, right? So we have a lobby here, and also a few people from retail and e-commerce, number 2. A lot of people are saying other. A lot of people are saying I'm agnostic to the industry. Financial services is picking up. That's good. It's like live racing, you just don't even know where you're going to end up. But that's cool. We've got a lot around 100 answers, I guess, right? Few more people are still answering, but I think we have a kind of an understanding pretty much already. We're having an understanding pretty much already. Yes, perfect. So we've stopped the poll, right? Just so I understand.
Yes, we are sharing the results.
We are sharing the results. Perfect. So we could see right now, right? So we've got most of the people from healthcare and life sciences, lots of people from retail, a lot of people from financial services, but also a lot of people are saying other, or I'm agnostic to business industry. And that's nice. That's a good kind of split. I really like the outcome. It means that a lot of you are already kind of starting to focus a little bit, and maybe even make decisions where you want to go, what's the next project going to look like where do you want to play. So this is making sense. This is making a lot of sense. So that's cool. So let's then talk now very briefly about how we organize this and how do we see it in here at SoftServe, right? So I'm working, as I said, I'm working in SoftServe here, and I'm part of the COE. So I'm part of the business analysis and product management COE. We report to the CDO of the company. If you know, our CDO is Alex Chubai, so we report to the guy. Now, the way that we are organized within the PDM and business analysis COE, right? So we have different kind of clusters and practices. What you see here on the screen, we have, as an example, we have some domain-focused practices. We have retail supply chain. This is where I come from. The financial services. We have some others. We also have more kind of service-oriented or the capability-oriented teams or clusters, right? I haven't reflected them because they are not they are not popping into this discussion. But in principle, we do have, for example, data-focused business analysts, or we have even the clusters with generalist business analysts who are like able to support any engagement, or we have separate product management cluster, right? Or actually 2 of those who are focusing on digital products, or we have the operational efficiency group who is working across the enterprises with the different types of operational and process efficiency, right? But for the sake of this example, I just wanted to bring up the domain structure or the domain clusters of the COE. And just to point out, so we started doing this because we believe that this is how we can collaborate better, we can bring more value to the customers, and we can create, kind of the areas of expertise or points of expertise where we are still obviously working on the different projects, but we are able to come together to discuss joint topics which are very, very linked to the retail and supply chain domains and industries, and see how we can jointly overcome this, learn from each other. And also what we are doing, we're trying to blend a little bit. So we are trying to have people from different places with different experiences, right? And that's a bit tricky because sometimes you have someone who is coming from the strict BA background, and maybe they haven't worked in this domain and area before, so they need to do a little bit of learning and catching up on this, and then become a bit more focused. Now, some others are coming from the enterprise companies, right? So they're coming for whatever. We have people from Avon or from HP or Fuzzy Group, which is biggest retailer in Ukraine, right? So these people, they know business very well, but what we believe is that we need people who can also, let's say, drive the projects and understand the background kitchen of the solutions and the delivery. That's why they also need to do a little bit of the homework and a little bit of the education here to become, kind of 360-degree specialist. So that's the trick. So this is how we see that, right? But that's kind of our internal SoftServe kitchen. And then what I wanted to talk to you about following is that how do we see and what's happening to IT in Ukraine in general, right? And look, I don't need to tell you a lot here, and we don't need to spend much time. We all know that the industry is huge for Ukraine, right? We are $5 billion in exports from Ukraine based on IT services for the past year, 2020. So that's huge for the economy. It's several percent of the GDP for us. We have around, by the end of last year, we had around 200,000 professionals working in the industry. So that's amazing. That's really great. And it's growing by like, what, 25% a year, something like that. And also we know everything what's happening on the market right now, especially in the past year, right? We know what's happening with the salaries. We know what's happening with the specific even salaries for business analysts, how hot the market is. Like everyone's looking for professionals. The market is understaffed. Some people are even saying that we have only two types of candidates on the market: those who can't get the offer and those who can't choose the offer, right? Everyone else is kind of already out there living their best life and participating in their best opportunities. And this is all true, right? There's nothing wrong with that. This is all great, all true. The only thing is, I think, and also because I'm coming from a little bit from the outside, I've lived like most of my professional life outside of Ukraine, been to different places, worked with different teams and individuals globally. I feel sometimes that here in Ukraine, within the industry, we are taking a little bit of the inside view, and we are kind of thinking maybe within that box that is a part of our naming for the conference that we are in here. And I just wanted to bring up the fact that that's not just us, right? It's not just our market. It's not only we. Obviously, we have all the customers which are outside, and we are influenced by that. But we are having a lot of competition, right? And the obvious competition that we can think of is, for example, India, right? Is a huge competitor of ours. And before we go on, the quick question here and another poll for us: what is the size of India IT services export, right? So 5 billion is Ukraine, right? Just as a reminder. So what do you say? How do you feel? What is the size of the Indian IT services export? Yeah, so we are having some leaders here. 2/3 of us already answered. Let's see if we can bring this number a little bit up. No one believes in 10 billion, by the way. Everyone's like, yeah, nah, that's not a viable answer here. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think we're good. Right, so most of you are saying that this is 100 billion. A lot of people think that this is around 50 billion. Few people think that this is 150 billion, and pretty much no one thinks that it's a 10 billion, right? So it can't be just two times higher than Ukraine. Okay, that's cool. So the truth is, let me jump to the next slide. So that's Ukraine, right? 5 billion in sales, 200K in workforce. So India is astonishing $150 billion for 2020, right? So this is like what, 30 times higher? So that's just for you to get a feeling of what is the level of the competition that we are having out there. And this is just one country, right? And in terms of the workforce, people have, India have 3 million people working there in the IT services. So this is huge, right? This is absolutely amazing. This is absolutely huge. And this is what we need to deal day to day outside of our internal market. When we are talking to our clients, when we are trying to win new deals and prove everyone that we can do better and we should get this new contract. So that's India, right? But apart from India, we have some other competition that is popping up maybe some longer time ago or recently, right? And if we think about that on the more global scale, it's like India, China, this is kind of straightforward. Asia Pacific is also kind of, they've been here for quite some time, so we know, but there are also new players. There's Africa. Africa is growing really big in the IT services right now, and South America, by the way. So that's another destination which is developing pretty fast and pretty quickly. The one thing before we go forward, maybe another story that I would like to tell you. We pretty commonly or pretty often we dismiss this competition because we believe that, hey, but these guys, there's a lot of them and they are, they are taking by quantity, but we are here taking by quality, right? So we are, maybe sometimes we are better educated, or we have better skills, or we have like, we are smarter, or whatever, it doesn't matter. So we believe that we can beat them on the quality, on the value side. And this is true. This is true. This is absolutely, what's market is showing. That's why we're getting our contracts, and that's why our services are often more expensive, and we are still doing this work. Now, the important thing to remember and to think about is this is not static, right? That's dynamic. So time flows. We haven't heard of South America on the market, on the global IT market, as up until recent times. So this is changing. And these guys and these people, I've worked with a lot of them. I had, for example, from India, I have people reporting to me who are Indians. I have people who I report to. I had my managers. One of the smartest guy who I was reporting to was Indian. And what I wanted to mention here, that these guys are hungry in terms of knowledge and in terms of capability and in terms of growth and development. I had one of my former managers in Procter & Gamble. So he was, one of his assignments, he was running a Procter & Gamble site in China, right? So he was like a general manager of the factory, and they were producing, I don't remember, there was on diapers, they were producing like huge amount of stuff, like a lot of operations, huge factory. The amount of employees there were like 4,000 or 5,000 people. So huge operations, right? In a big company, in the enterprise company. And now every year, like they were hiring graduates, right? Because in Procter & Gamble, they have this rule that they promote from within. You can't come in there and become a director or a VP or whatever. You need to start from the beginning, and then you grow, and then they promote from within, and they grow the people. That's the policy. So they were hiring every year. They were hiring these graduates. And the thing was, the story was, he was telling, like, look, every year we were having maybe like 20 positions or 30 positions. And we were hiring like 100, like 90, 100 of graduates every year. And we were asking him, like, why would you do that? It's a huge difference. And he was saying, like, yeah, but in 6 months or 9 months, they would start, and then, or in the 9 months or in the year, we would need to promote someone, because we were having the positions to fill upwards in this 5,000 strong enterprise or factory. And then we would need to choose, right? We would need to promote some of these guys. And the problem was that the moment we promoted these like 15 or 20 individuals out of the 100, the rest, nearly 70 of whatever is left, they would resign from the company, right? And the reason for that was that the environment in China, and they're being brought in such a competitive environment, it's such a competitive, place, that they are taught to be one and only, and the best of class, and the best of breed, and the best of where they are. So that's in their blood. And if they're not getting that, then they are going to the other place and they are trying to become the best they can in that specific place. So they are very persistent. And this is maybe a long story, but this is just to give you a bit of the outside perspective on how the other places, exist in a way. So back to my point, we have a lot of competition, right? And it is growing, it's strong, it's dynamic. What also happens, we are having new trends. So a lot of automation is coming in, low-code platforms, automated programming, hyper-automation, all of this is coming. This means like not all the skills and the capabilities that were kind of in demand, maybe not yesterday, but maybe a few years ago or 5 years ago, they're going to be in the demand tomorrow or again in a year from now. And the other thing is also all our competition is growing their capabilities. And this is what we've been just talking about just a second ago. So they're improving their technical skills. They are learning how to communicate with the customers and understand what the customer wants better. They're leveraging, that's another thing, they're leveraging a lot of expats or just they're keen people, right, in the outer world. So a lot of Indians are working for Indians, a lot of like Asians are working for Asians, and they're helping each other and they're verbing each other into this work. So that's all, and that's normal stuff. It's business, but we just need to understand that this competition exists, and this is what we are facing outside. Now, so for us, what does it actually means? For us, it means that with our scale and with our quantities, like we're 200K people versus like 3 million. However, I think we can get to 3 million in Ukraine. That's not an unachievable target, but still, I think what's really important for us is that we make sure that we grow not just on quantity, which we obviously need to catch up on, but we are winning on quality, and we need to continue, amplifying this and winning on quality going forward. So that's here on the right, that's kind of a standard perspective of how we look at in SoftServe in the kind of different levels of, ownership and partnership with the clients, right? Obviously, this is also what's industry been going through. So we've been from, let's say, 30 years back when we just started in the like early or mid 90s, we've been growing from, hey, we can just like a few smart engineers and throw a problem at us and we're going to solve that. So somewhere here at the bottom level of this pyramid, we are moving as an industry, and each of the company of ours, like individually, we're going up through this value chain, and we are starting to deliver more and more value. But this also means that we are having more additional things that we need to cope with. We need to have much more capabilities. We need to have much more skills to deal with that. Maybe now a lot of us are playing somewhere in the middle of this pyramid. We in SoftServe, tend to believe that we are playing somewhere in the second, third tier of this pyramid. We are definitely not going into the management consulting, but digital advisory, technology advisory, that's what we are doing a lot here, right? But even though the point is we need to be catching up, and this is kind of obvious, right? So you could say, okay, Cap, so now what? So how do we actually do this, and how it actually links back to us? So the point is the following. So for us, the people who are working on the market in Ukraine, for example, the overall market will continue to stay hot. Obviously, I'm not saying that tomorrow everyone's going to be out of job because competition is going to take over. That's not the point. We are pretty strong. We're growing intensely. The growth going to hopefully continue. There are all signs of that. So market's going to stay hot. However, the important thing is that skills and demand will be changing. And this is very important. And it's very important for all of us not to miss that moment or that point where the curve's going to, turn, because it happens pretty quickly. Therefore, we need to adjust. We need to learn new stuff. We need to see what is that new that we can bring that it can help us add value to our clients. And with this additional value that we are creating, right, we are getting increased responsibility, which is, so we are taking more stuff on us, which means it increases the complexity of what we do, right? And this means we need more and like even more advanced skill set that we had yesterday, because we are coping with all this much more difficult problems and much more broader projects and stuff. So how do we, as the individuals, as the people who are working in these companies on the market and working with the clients day to day, how do we ensure that we are able to create this additional value? How do we focus? We can't do everything at the time, right? So there are several options. Obviously, this is all about choices. So we can't be going after all of these options, but potentially these options are a few. So first of all, you can be more technology focused, right? So you can say, hey, I'm more focused on data, or I'm more focused on cloud, or I'm focused on this, and I'm managing like these complex enterprise-wide cloud transformations. That could be one of your focuses, for example. The other one going to be industry subject matter expertise, and this is what we are kind of talking about today in here. The other one could be, for example, change management, right? The change management for huge enterprises, for, I don't know, merger and acquisition or some significant transitions could be an animal of itself, right? Even not having huge amount of experience in the specific industry, if you do have a really deep understanding on the program and change management, even as a BA, this could be a huge asset to what you do and the value that you can bring. How do you bring all these pieces together? How you coordinate and organize? That's a big thing. Another one obviously could be leadership, right? So we are all working in the business. We have our leadership structures. So you could decide, yeah, but I want to build teams, right? So because leadership is about building efficient and effective and happy teams. So you could think, okay, I want to go there. The important thing, that's a whole different animal, right? Leadership is a whole different thing. The important only thing to remember about this, you cannot do all things at a time. So when we talk about these three, that's more or less clear. When we're talking about leadership, some people believe that I can be building teams and going into the leadership role, but also I can remain expert in the industry, or also I can remain, the technology guru in cloud. Normally, this is not how it works. You need to normally decide and make the choice of what I want to do and where they want to go. So diving into the industry expertise, right? So what's important here? So we've been looking into this pyramid just a second ago, right? So how do we see this playing back onto the industry expertise? Now, obviously, if we're talking about some very simple or initial engagements when we're just doing the outstaffing work, that's normally the value of subject matter expertise is normally pretty low, right? You're just getting all of the industry expertise sitting on the customer side, all of the product management, project management, whatever, you're just getting handed over some specific work that you need to do. So there's not a lot of place where you could apply this expertise that you have. Obviously, as we go upwards, the importance changes, right? And we can say that across the board, where really subject matter expertise kicks in and brings most of the value is where you're starting to do the advisory, especially digital advisory, right? When you are coming in and you are starting to talk with a customer about, hey, this is how we see that, this is how we can help you deal with your business challenges, right? We are maybe not talking about management consulting, for which the business knowledge is just a primary, you lead with that. At the same time, because we are more focused on technology, right? So the solutions we are looking at, they're more kind of digital focused, but at the same time, still, digital advisories, this is where you could say, hey, for your specific business, for your specific industry, these are the digital solutions that are going to work. This is going to help you, grow and solve your business challenges. So that's important. Now, in terms of making a difference, so what's really important? Why the industry expertise is hitting quite hard for these type of deals and these enterprise engagements. So first of all, what you can bring if you are specialized in some of the specific areas, like for example, supply chain or retail or financial services, you can ensure that you can deliver a fast onboarding to yourself and to the team. So customer doesn't need to talk to you about what is my standard business vocabulary. You can talk to the customer their language. You can help also onboard your colleagues. And this is all getting much smoother. So this is important. So you speak the same language and you don't spend time. The other, and this is kind of an outcome of this, but this is super important, is establishing a rapport or establishing trust with the customer. If you know the thing that they are struggling with, if you understand what it means, let's say if we're talking supply chain, what it means moving pallets in the trucks in and out day by day. And when you're doing this, you just have specific set of issues, and how challenging for you it is when you're running an operational business, for example, to transition from one, solution that supports your operations to another. Like how challenging that, what could be the problems associated with that. This is like a very, very important skill that you can bring on the table, this understanding, and show to the client that, yes, I know what you feel. I've been in your shoes, or I haven't been in your shoes, but we've been working with these clients and we've been doing this, so we understand where you're coming from. We understand your issues. This is hugely important. The other one is obviously when you establish this rapport and you show the customer that you are actually able to quickly onboard and support, you are able to move into the position where you are able to advise and consult, right? So you cannot just be talking about, hey, tell me what to do and I'll implement this, or this is a better technique, or this is the worst technique. But actually to say, hey, within this business scenario for these use cases, okay, we've seen it done this way, or we've seen it done that way, or and they start listening to you, and this is where you take more ownership, and this is where you bring more value to the client, which is the ultimate goal of what we are here discussing about. And last but not least, you're going to be able to help the team navigate through the complexity, right? Very often, the team needs the understanding of the enterprise business they are working with. Yes, to the extent, yes, you don't need to know all the details and all the elements, but this bridge needs to exist when we're talking about the enterprise type of the customers and their business problems. So someone needs to close the gap. And this is where you could come in. This is where you could step up and say, hey, I can translate this. I really understand these use cases. I really understand these challenges. Yes, maybe I need to do additional learning or additional, to educate myself a little bit more about this specific client. But anyway, I can lead this this business perspective with the customer. So I think this is important. Now, so this is how it could help. And I think these are pretty powerful points. Now, how do you get to this? So how can you start delivering this value? How can you start delivering these benefits to the customer? So there are a few points that you would need to do. So if you choose to say, hey, I really need to focus on this specific industry, or I want to be more kind of dedicated to the specific domain. So the first thing that you can do is that you need to arrange what you know. So probably on the background of your experience, you had a bunch of projects, right? And you just specified. So a lot of you guys said you have experience in finance, you have experience in energy, in some other fields. So you already can identify yourself. What is your preference, let's say, right? So you could say, okay, so let's make an array of what and revisal of what I know. So what were the projects? What are the specifics? Maybe you need to educate yourself a little bit and see, okay, what is actually the blueprint of the industry? What are the elements of that, right? So for example, in supply chain, you would have logistics and transportation. That's going to be a separate thing. The supply chain planning, that's going to be a separate thing. Manufacturing could be or could not be a part of the supply chain. In the general vocabulary, inventory management could be a different thing. Demand management, prediction, and sales could be a different thing. So what, for example, in your industry, what are the building blocks that you are comfortable with? And what are the building blocks that maybe you're missing? But also what's the demand, right? Can you talk to people around you or see what are the projects are coming, and or check on the web what are the most hot topics for that industry? So where do you need, again, to focus? What do you know already? Where do you need to pick up? Now, the next thing is exactly what I've starting to be talking about, is follow the industry, right? So for your specific domain that you've selected for yourself, like read one article a month on, okay, where the industry is going. Like go to McKinsey, go to Boston Consulting Group, goes to World Economic Forum, all of these, kind of platforms that consolidate the different perspectives and the trends, excuse me, and then just check what is out there, what they're talking about, and try to align and map this towards what you are doing, what your company is doing, what types of the projects you were in. How does this all comes together? Where do you need, again, this is to help you focus, right? This is super. Join the webinars, join the activities that are like related to the to the specific industry. The other thing which is super important is get focused projects. So nothing will help you better to deepen your experience in the specific domain or the specific field is to like really doing the work on a specific project. And this is sometimes it could be tricky, right? Because here in the industry, we are following the client and we are trying to serve the client, and we are in a lot of cases we are taking whatever it's available because it's the work, it needs to get done. And that's all true. I'm not saying that's not correct, but within this, if you can lobby and you can try to adjust and talk to your leadership, to talk to your team, talk to your managers about, hey, I really want to focus this. This is how I can bring value. Let's see if I can get my next project in the same area of expertise or within the same, block of things. Like I was telling, can I do just inventory management specific projects, for example, because this is in high demand. That is also super useful. And the last one is educate others, because again, nothing can help you more. Well, probably the best thing is to go and get things yourself. But the other is then when you're trying to educate others, when you present stuff, when you explain stuff, and you need to explain stuff, this is where you are going to be very successful in understanding complicated things yourself. So this is one thing, by the way, if we're getting back to the way how we are organized in the SoftServe for our COE, this is why we started making these dedicated clusters. And again, not just for the industries, right? We have technology specific clusters or some capabilities, but this is also why it's so important, because you are getting this, you're getting this kind of like bunch of people sitting together and able to discuss and to educate each other, and you're getting this community. Basically, this is the word which I was looking for. So you're getting this community which is able to collaborate. Super valuable. Okay, so resources, right? So how do I get about this, where this is coming from? How do I start looking for what is trendy in financial services or in supply chain or anywhere else? To be honest, there couldn't be an easier question, especially now, taking into account the last year and a half with COVID. Everything went online, like everything literally, and nearly everything is free. And you can go and listen to such an amazing, conferences or podcasts, or read such an example, great and explicit material that you could have not find any time before. So just few examples. You take supply chain, right? A course in Udemy on digital supply chain. It's going to be pretty basic, but this is a good place to start or to summarize your knowledge. Another one, this is an example from Google. They're just running this retail and consumer goods summits, and they're inviting these executives from different companies to talk about the digital transformation in retail and supply chain. And you have this for whatever, for finance, for healthcare, for any other domains. You just need to start looking for that. Obviously, look also within your company. So whatever is available for you, if there are communities which are kind of surrounding the specific topic or the specific industry. For example, here at SoftServe, within our team and our community, we are even creating this online webinars and education sessions. This is the example on the consumer products that we've done. This is a set of webinars. So we have this stuff. We also have this on financial services, other things. So check it out. Maybe where you work, you also have these opportunities, and you also have these materials that you can leverage. This is super helpful. It doesn't need to be, like university style kind of education for yourself, where you need to go one by one and just create a plan for yourself. No, but just getting a little bit more perspective on what's happening, going to help you immensely to get yourself, to the next level. Wrapping down, right? We've got like 15 minutes. I'm wrapping down. I know that you're having maybe some questions, so we're going to allow some time for that. So what are the tips and tricks? So I'm going to go through tips and tricks, and then maybe I'm going to tell one or two stories about how we are doing this at SoftServe for our clients. So tips and tricks here. So first and very important one, and if there's like one thing that you will remember from this slide, is you're going to need to mute your imposter syndrome, right? So especially in the case if you worked all the time in the IT industry, you've never worked in the enterprise, you don't have this industry experience, or you've been working on like some clients, you're like, yeah, but these guys are working for like 20 years or 30 years in the industry. What can I tell them that they doesn't know? And, you know, how can I be an advisor to them, and how can I help? And this couldn't be, you know, more untrue. It's just amazingly how we are kind of dismissing ourselves before we are actually let others to evaluate what we can do and what the value that we can bring. Very often, there are several reasons here. So very often the enterprises that are looking for this, they either like imagine they know the stuff that they need to implement, but they don't have resources and time. So they need someone who understands them, he speaks their language, or even if they need to, they're gonna help you, they're gonna educate you additionally. But if you kind of getting on the same board with them, you're gonna be invaluable help for them, and they know that, and that's why they are looking for that, and that's why they are coming out and saying, hey, help us with these business issues that we have. So that's one thing. The other thing is sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they could be working a lot of years in the industry, but they just used to be working the specific way, right? And they don't see what's happening outside. So another very important thing that you can bring, apart from being yourself and just being there and supporting them, it's the overview from across the industry. And how do you get this overview? It's because first you educate yourself, and the second you get the projects which are from the same domain, right? And you can say, hey, we've actually had another 2 clients with a similar issue, and we've been solving this like this or the other way, and this is what works better, and this is what works less, right? And this is an insight that very, very often these enterprises or these companies or these individuals, they just don't have, because it's not their core job. So that's super important. So the point here is, don't feel like an imposter, or even if you feel, overcome it, you know, and persist and go forward no matter what. Very much linked to the first point, you need to start somewhere, right? Don't think about this is huge amount of things that I don't know, I don't need where to start. Like, start somewhere, pick one area, one element, and even one industry. Even if you don't know which industry you want to focus on, if you're interested in going into the industry specialization, choose whatever, choose what you feel like, you know, which you have experience with. If you don't like it going forward, you're going to change, that's fine. But still, you need to start somewhere and go. This is how you're going to figure out what is really making sense for you. In addition to that, the really good advice that I've seen somewhere and this is also linked to the career planning and all that stuff. So, you know, a game of chess, and you have a knight figure, and it goes with with the edge, it goes forward and then goes left, or it goes right. So this is a very good analogy how you can move in these situations and go forward. So you don't need to say, hey, I've been always working with, I don't know, cloud technologies, but today I just really want to start focusing on supply chain, right? So as of today, I'm not doing any other related stuff to cloud. I'm just going to be doing supply chain projects, and that's it. No, that's not the right approach. So try to find a way that you can make a smooth transitions. When you can start where you are, maybe even within your existing project, maybe you're working on the project where there is a lot of conversation about technology, but there's not a lot of conversation about business. So maybe you can bring these topics around. Maybe you can start talking about what are the business use cases we're solving for. Maybe you could start talking to your clients about like what could be the extensions to the work that you're doing, how we can bring more value, what is available out there on the market. So that's, I think, a very helpful addition as well. And last but not least, you will need to market yourself, right? I personally believe that the result comes first. So you need to deliver on the promise, and you need to deliver on the things that you're taking in yourself. But once you're starting doing that, and I assume you do, right? Because we're all professionals here. So you deliver on what you're doing. You need to start speaking about yourself, because people need to know that, hey, this guy, he's not just a great BA or a product manager or whatever, but he knows whatever retail. He knows online payments. He knows, or she knows, you know, healthcare. And this is how it normally rolls. And people start to associate you with these areas, because this is how clients come to us, right? They come from, this is the retail client that wants to do this, or this is a healthcare client that want to do that, right? So and people start making this link, right? The retail client, right? So who is that guy who is knowing? I've heard he knows something about retail, that one, right? And this is how it rolls. This is super important, and this is helping a lot actually in the career going forward. Now, so before we go, I have one takeaway. Before we go into takeaway, a few examples. Like in SoftServe, we're getting a lot of specialized customers. Right now, we are working on the client, for example, which is the huge retailer, one of the biggest retailers in the US, which are ensuring like a 30-minute delivery door to door. Right, you are ordering something online, and they are like delivering something in 30 minutes. They've grown to a billion company. They are having like several hundreds of the warehouses and several thousands of products in their portfolio. Today, they're managing everything that they need in terms of ordering and supply chain and movement of the goods in Excel, right? Not an ideal scenario. This is a startup. They needed badly someone who can help them figure out how to put this all in order. And this is both from the technology side, how do you kind of organize and structure everything, but also how do you make business decision in terms of what's working best, what is working best. They are a startup, they don't know what's working in other companies. They don't have this perspective. So they are leveraging us a lot, and we are able to give them advice and support them on their way. The other big and great example is that one of the customers we are working in the Middle East, which is also a huge retailer, and they've been there for years, and they've been working in a lot of different settings. Now they've grown so huge that they've become very much internally focused, right? They are looking internally on what is happening with their own processes and how do they make things work. And what we've delivered to them, apart from delivering the solutions they were looking for, we also help them to bring the expertise and the perspective from the outside and tell them what the market is about, what are the other solutions in the industry, what is the similar challenges to theirs and how they are being solved across the market. So this is really, really helpful, and this is really working in the real life. So that's pretty much all from my side. The last slide I have here. So if there's one takeaway that you're going to take from this 1 hour spending here with me and your colleagues online is, you know what? Don't be like Pablo, right? Solve for business. Try not to be just, hey, this is what I can do. This is a list of things. This is like, give me the task. But try to be really about business, supporting the business and bringing the value to the business and helping the clients solve their problems. I think that's normally very appreciative. And this is what helping us to deliver this great value and great, quality that we are known for as the Ukrainian IT market. Thank you very much. That's everything from my side. I know there are a few comments in here.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Oleksandr. It was a really different perspective of the career path for our BAs, and we do have a lot of questions. I will read some of them and will ask you to answer. Okay, let's start with questions from Petro. How do one can stay up to speed with the industry?
We don't hear you. Could you fix?
No, we do.
Just let me know.
I can hear Mariana pretty well. Yeah.
Do hear Mariana? Yeah.
Okay. We have all the questions in chat.
Okay. Mariana has a trouble with the microphones.
No, I think is
Okay.
the other way around. We good?
Yeah, we are good. So how do one can stay up to speed with the industry domain once they've dropped off to IT?
So as I was saying, I think for the how do you can stay up to speed, like don't worry too much about that. Okay, we are not going to be here. So let me tell you this. At least for the next few years, I would say we are not going to be the trendsetters for the domains and industries, right? And this is normal because our focus is different. We are not about what's the next big thing in the retail. We are about how do we make this big thing work from the digital perspective with all of the legacy stuff that these enterprises are having and all the technical debt and all that kind of stuff, right? So we don't need to be ahead of the curve. We need to be really on top of the curve. And if you do what I just outlined throughout the presentation, if you go and educate yourself a little bit, you read a few articles here and there, you go on a few, conferences and online talks, this is where you start. And then you just build on from there. So don't worry too much on being, somewhere at some specific level. You're just going to pick up.
Thank you. So we have a next question from Maxim. I got the point of importance of being subject matter expert, change manager, and technology expert, but how having a good leadership skills can compete with skills above on the same level?
So this is a very good point. So I see this as this is a different task, right? This is a different set of skills. So when you're going into, the only thing that I wanted to say is that there are different career paths, right? And you can choose out of them. If you are going into the leadership, for example, and you want to say, I don't know, I want to be a delivery manager, right? Or I want to be delivery director, for example, for the business or something like that. That's becoming much less about the technologies or the industry that you're working with. That's becoming about the teams and really assembling a worthwhile team, a great team, finding the right individuals, finding, you know, the right fit for the team and dynamics and all that, and working with people one-to-one. This is a whole different ballgame, and this sometimes it is, at least it's not less important. You know, I would even say that this is sometimes a prerequisite to all of the other things. That's the only point. And to that, it's a full-time job. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard sometimes to be, you know, building the team, working on the, you know, organizational culture, all of that kind of things, and still being an expert in technology and still being an expert in industry. This is super hard. So that's the only thing that I wanted to say here. So you would need to understand where you want to go. It doesn't need to be just one or the other. It's just you would need to balance and prioritize.
Thank you. So now you changed your position to leadership one, yeah, and you have this balance.
This is pretty tough. This is pretty tough. This is the challenge that I'm working myself with, and this is where I also rely on the team a lot, right? So this is my job to find the right people into the team and to assemble the team in the way that they are actually the experts. They know what is the next big thing in retail. And I can still speak the language with them and understand they're talking about, but do I have the time and the possibility to go through all of the different options? No, that's not possible. And that's why I'm talking about this. That's really good point.
Great, thanks. And the next question from Marta: how do you think, what is more complicated, to get BA knowledge or industry domain knowledge?
That's a good point. I think so. In principle, I don't think there is something which is more complicated or less complicated. I think based on where we are and what is the community that we are having, I think in Ukraine IT market, it is easier to get the BA knowledge because we have more expertise, more community. You have more sources of information, right? We, due to various reasons, we don't have the extent of the enterprise business really running operations in Ukraine to the extent that you have it in the other countries. That's why we don't have the exposure. So for us, obviously, it's easier to learn something that is present on the market. Now, from the perspective of like, am I as an individual like more capable or less capable getting the or understanding the industry versus the BA? No, I think the BA stuff and all of the knowledge that you need to have to be a good BA or a good product manager, this is super complex, and this is why all these customers are coming to us, because we are great in that and they are not, right? Is just we need to, if we want to bring more value, is we need to, I think we need to upskill or level up the game a little bit. That's, I think, my message here.
I totally agree. The next question from Mike: what are some common areas across all industries that business analyst, product owners should know?
Common areas. I think that's tricky, right? I would be really generic right now, but I think what is important is to remember that the business or the enterprise, if you're talking with the business-facing stakeholders, they are focused on their KPIs and their deliverables. And for them, the technology and the solutions are just the ways or the means to get to their ends, right? And like you need to start walking in these advisory issues. You need to be proposing the solutions. You need to be coming up with the ideas. I think that's what's really important. And also you need to remember that when you are talking to the operational business, like for example, supply chain or healthcare or even finance, if you're talking financial services. So the operational load and the amount of stuff that they need to do and focus on, this is huge. When I work in supply chain and I really need to get stuff delivered and the goods rolled out, that's what my key focus is. So I don't really because this is how business runs, you don't really have time for any other additional stuff. And also always, or a lot of the times, the enterprise business and business stakeholders, they see these vendors which are coming in, they mean us, as the challenge and the obstacle to their day-to-day life, right? So you need to really get this trust and rapport on, hey, we're really here to help you. we're really here to support you, and this is how we're going to do that. We're not a distraction. We're not going to be, you know, ruining your day-to-day business and the operations, asking you questions, or, you know, so you still need to ask those, but you see what I mean, right? This is how you establish this relationship. I think this is super important.
Thank you. And just a few more questions we have. So what trends are on edge between retail and healthcare? Some crazy stuff like buying habits predicts health problems.
Yeah, this is a good point. I probably will try to avoid explicit answer to that because this is very specific. You can come to me afterwards and we can discuss that, the trends. We've done a lot of research on that actually within our group. I think, like, in general, the behaviors are changing a lot. There is a lot of health food talk. There is a lot of, you know, people are changing from brands to brands much more than they've been changing before. So this is also impacting a lot. But yeah, let's have this. I would propose that we have this conversation offline, because that's a little bit specific, even though it's super interesting.
Yeah, Mike, so you can contact Oleksandr directly to discuss this question. And the next question, how to get focused project if they are absent? I have a solid 5-year experience in management consulting in a few industries, core processes, and can help our customers a lot, but I can't wait for the perfect project.
That's a very good point. So there is no one solution that fits everyone. The answers are going to be a little bit generic, but they're still true. So first of all, you need to talk to your leadership. The one big thing that people are not doing generally in their career, when they're planning their career, they're not talking to as many people as they can about what they want. And therefore, people who can provide you with the opportunities, they just don't know what you know or what you want or what your past experience is. So you need to start talking about what you want, not like, hey, I don't like this stuff, I want to leave, or like whatever, depends on your situation, but like just telling, hey, by the way, did you know I know that? Did you know I can bring this value? And talking about about this to different stakeholders. The other option is obviously, look, I'm not supporting, you know, frequent job changes, but market is super hot, you know? If you're working for a company which is small, for example, and cannot provide you with all the opportunities you have, there has never been a better time for you from the market perspective to look for what actually makes sense for you. The other thing that I could say is that in SoftServe, for example, this is why we created the COEs, and this is why we created these groups in the COEs, that we can focus people, and this is what we try to do. So maybe you need to look for a place that's going to allow you that. But the first and foremost thing is start talking about this to people and start having these conversations, and that's going to help you really, really a lot.
Yeah. Thanks. And the last question for today, Oleksandr, do you believe in domain agnosticism for business analysts? And we have a pluses to these questions.
Yes, this is a very good question. And this is a kind of a Hollywood question, right? The specialization versus the industry agnosticism. So thank you, Oleksy, for this one. So from my perspective, look, my key point is, based on what I've tried to present you and my case that I tried to present you and the competition that we are having out there and the way we need to grow, my point is that we need to be adding this additional value somehow. And my point is that, let's say, you still need to focus and you need to still to see where these value edges are existing. You should, I'm not diminishing, like, let's say, I'm not trying to diminish the work of the BA, but I think we need to be stepping out. Even if you are a BA, that's also fine, but you can be specialized on, I run discoveries, you know, I know how to run discoveries, I know the frameworks, I know the approaches, or I know how to work with the ideation workshops, for example. This is the something that BAs know how to do, and that's within the toolkit, but you can start to be focused on that because you can't be doing everything across, right? Or maybe again, getting back to the technology focus, or maybe again, getting back to the industry focus. So my thinking is this: yes, you can be a very good and professional BA and have a great projects and bringing value to the client. And this is what we are doing in most of the times today, right? But I think there are going to be additional value if we can specialize in some of the areas. It doesn't need to be industry-wise, but other areas. I think this is the focus helps really a lot. I think that's it.
Yeah, and we received very last question, maybe in very quickly. Which e-commerce platforms do you use in your projects, and which ones you expect to be growing in terms of the usage?
Yeah, this is a bit specific, but I can have a very quick answer on this. So for us in SoftServe, we're using a lot Magento, Shopify, Salesforce Cloud for e-commerce. And there are two or three more which are maybe less popular, but I think these are key. So Shopify, Magento, Salesforce Cloud Commerce. That's mainly it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone, for your questions. And thank you, Oleksandr, for your topic. I believe a lot of our participants will think about the trends in some specific domain and whether it was investing their time in developing this knowledge. I would like to remind you all that tomorrow we are continuing our sessions, and we will be hosting Yelena Shelutko with her topic, Influencing Change Through Business Architecture. So please join us and see you there. Thanks, everyone, and have a nice evening.